Week 38. Last week, I set up the email Outbox in the database. It's a table that contains rows of emails that need to be sent out. I also set up the connection between my app and the database, the email Outbox. So in other words, now when a guest is marked to be notified, the notification email would then be added to the email Outbox. Now, to be clear, the Outbox itself doesn't process the email send action. That's because it's processed by a different Supabase Edge function that would be invoked by a cron job periodically. The infrastructure that I've set up does not create a worker thread for every email that needs to go out. That's very inefficient. It periodically queries the Outbox and then drains the Outbox. Currently, the frequency is set to 60 seconds, which I believe is sufficient. It's a good balance between efficiency as well as on-time delivery. As I develop the app further, I'm going to more or less look into the options to fine-tune it. The difficulty, of course, is that currently the cron job is on a minute timer. So in other words, 60 seconds is the smallest interval that you can schedule for this to happen. There's an option to use, I believe they call it durable objects in Cloudflare, and there's other similar offerings from other websites as well, other online service providers as well, where the objects would keep state and can be invoked more frequently than once every minute. But they're more complicated to set up, and not only that, they cost more than just a simple cron job. So I'm going to look into that down the line. But for now, the Outbox is there. The app correctly inserts emails in there. What's not working is the drainer function. Well, I believe the drainer function is working. What's not working is the cron job. So I got to fix the cron job error. At this point, the drainer function can be manually invoked and then drain the email Outbox, and then I actually see the emails being sent. Problem being, of course, is that I'm not going to manually invoke the Supabase Edge function to send the emails. That would have to be invoked by the cron job, and the cron job currently is not working correctly. This should be an easy fix. I just didn't get to it this week. That'll be a primary objective for next week. In addition to the server side of things and the data layer side of things, I also improved/fixed a few bugs on the guest list details pane, where some of the states weren't reflected correctly. Some of the error messages weren't displayed. These are fixed. There's still more errors. And the goal, of course, is to spend next week to find more of those bugs and squash them. So that's it for this week. And the goal for next week is, of course, fix the cron job. Double verify that the Supabase Edge function actually performs correctly and sends emails correctly when it's invoked by the Edge function, when it's invoked by the cron job. And then if I have more time, then I'm going to look more into squashing UI bugs, and just to make sure that the user experience is going to be polished for any user during their first use, right? The last thing that you want to do is for a very good functional app to give frustration to the users because there's a lot of bugs in it. All right, that's it for this week. I'll see you next week.